What's going on, everybody? It's Carmine from Barmine Tech, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're talking about how to get into cybersecurity. I'm going to use my experiences of getting into cybersecurity to make this video, and hopefully you'll find it helpful. If you're somebody who is watching this video and wants to get into cybersecurity, I'm going to give you what, in my opinion, are the best tips for getting into cybersecurity. So stay tuned, and let's get right into it. Also, I know this video is different than what we normally do on this channel. I know normally we work on like hands-on projects and stuff like that, but this is a topic that I'm pretty knowledgeable on. I've spent quite a few years in school. I've went through undergrad. I'm in grad school. I have an associate's, bachelor's. Like I've been to a bunch of schools. I understand the concepts of, like college, the skills to have, applying for jobs. I'm going to cover all that in the video. I'm going to try to keep this short, but it might go on for, a little bit. But I'm going to try to keep it short. So let's just get right into it. So I broke this into 4 main points: interest in the field, education, projects, hands-on skills, and looking for jobs. In my opinion, these are going to be the 4 most important points in getting into cybersecurity, and let's just get right into them. So interest in the field. If you're not really interested in cybersecurity or working in IT or working on computers, this probably isn't the right field for you. If you're not, working at home on projects, or you're already going to school for this might not be for you, unfortunately. I know it has a big price tag that everybody sees, that you can make 6 figures, which also isn't always the case. Chances are your first job out of college, you're going to be severely underpaid, and you'll be lucky if you break $50,000. I know it's hard to hear, but that's just me being honest. The market's very oversaturated right now, and nobody wants to pay an exorbitant amount for a fresh out of college hire, especially if you don't have a lot of experience in the field. But if you're not somebody who works with computers, or you've been interested in them for a while, or working on projects, and you just see the big price tag, this probably isn't for you. So I'd probably reconsider what you want to do for schooling or for work, because if you just want to work in cybersecurity because of the price that you can make, it's not going to work out. You're going to be miserable. You're going to get into work, you're going to work for a little bit, and it's just going to be miserable for you. And I don't mean this to deter people. I just want people to be aware of it before you get into a career where you spend 4 years of college and then you realize you wasted 5-6 years of your life and you just hate every part of it, and now you need to figure out what to do next. So you're really not passionate about it or not have enough interest in it. Do what's best for everybody, and especially you, and try to figure out something better that would suit you better, whether it's a different college program, a trade school, whatever it might be. But it's all about figuring out what's best for each person. I'm not trying to deter people from wanting to work in cybersecurity. I just want people to realize that if you're not really interested in the field or working on computers all day or whatever it might be, that this might not be for you. If you just see, that you can make $120,000 and you don't care about anything else, then it's probably not the right field for you, because you're just going to get into work and you're going to be miserable 6 months in. And it's going to be bad for everybody. So do what's best for you. Find a schooling plan if you want to do that, or a trade school, or whatever you want to do that makes the most sense for a field you're interested in, and focus on that. Just make it easier for you so you have a better life. There's no reason to go to work every day and hate your job because you're just not interested in it. So you might as well do something that you like. The next important point that I feel is your education. So this is whether you choose to go to a school, you choose to go to like a trade school, or you choose to just do certifications. So there are different options for this one. So you can go to, a community college, a state school, a private university. You go to a trade school now because they're offering like A+ certifications and stuff like that. And of course, you could also just go and get certifications and try with that. They all work. So these are my opinions on all of them. If you're going to go to a school, like a community college, a state school, a private university, do something that makes sense for the cost that you're paying. If you're paying $150,000 a year, it probably isn't worth it considering the market right now. The schools are going to say that they can guarantee you work outside of school when you graduate, but they can't guarantee that they're going to get you placed in a job that's going to pay you to be able to pay off that loan that you took for school. So it's something to keep in mind. Instead of taking $60,000 a year in loans, maybe go to a state school and probably get the same education, and then get the same job that they were going to get you and be able to pay the state loan back. But that's just my thought. I've actually done it where I've gone to a private university that would say, we're going to place you in a job right after school, and I think my yearly bill there was about $45,000 after my loans and aid they gave me. So that would have left me with about $100,000 out by the time I graduated to work, and that means I would have been left with about $100,000 in loans to pay off. And if I didn't get a job that paid me enough to live and be able to pay my loan, I would have been drowning in debt for the rest of my life. So I'm really glad that I ended up leaving the private university and went to a state school where my tuition was more affordable and I was able to leave debt free. Now, I'm not saying that private universities aren't the way to go, but you need to decide on the private university's offerings versus the cost. So if it's what you want to do is also the other part. So if you want to be more of a hands-on like engineer in cybersecurity, or if you want to be more of like a theory person where you're working maybe like cyber law or policy management and stuff like that, you need to look at the classes offered for the degrees to see if you're more like hands-on like Cisco labs, or you're doing more like policy writing and stuff like that. I always did more of a hands-on field, so I was always doing Cisco labs, networking labs, or all stuff to go along with that, because that was what my interest was. If that's not your interest, look for a school that caters to your needs. I know that my school that I went to for my bachelor's had a program for more hands-on work and more for theory work. And of course, I did the hands-on one, but there was both options. So that's something to keep in mind when you're looking for your school, depending on what you want to do. Like I said, college isn't the only option that's out there. You can do trade schools, and they are offering A+ certification. There's probably some that offer some other programs. Those are good options too. You might not be able to land that big job you've been looking for out of a trade school, so it's just something to keep in mind, but it's still a good spot to get a start. You're going to get a good education, and you're going to get a certificate when you're done with it, so trade schools are definitely a good way. And there also are the regular certifications, so there's stuff like CompTIA, which is a vendor unbiased certification that will certify you on the concepts of, let's say, networking, security, stuff like that, and they are neutral among all the industry vendors. So it's not like you just went got a CCNA and now it's only showing that you're certified for Cisco products. If you get one of the CompTIA certs, you're good for everybody. So it is something that jobs like to see. So if you have like the trifecta, as they say, which is A+, Net Plus, and Security Plus, those are really good ones to get. But even if you already have an idea of like IT, let's say, and you just want to do Net Plus and Security Plus, those are really good too, because it's going to prove that you have the networking skills and the security skills to work in the field. When you're looking for jobs, you're going to see a lot of applications looking for Net Plus and Security Plus, probably CCNA as well. So getting a certification definitely won't hurt. They're not too expensive, so it is a good thing to get. There's a lot of courses on Udemy or books or anything you might want to get to study with, and you can bang that test out and you get certified, and it's going to help you when you look for jobs. The next thing is going to be projects and skills. So this is a really important one in my opinion, because you could have all the education in the world, but if you don't know how to do any of it, it's useless. So you could be the smartest person in the class, but if you don't know how to use Linux, it's going to be a problem for you in the long run. I had classmates that were very smart and they knew everything about it, but when it came to working in the CLI, they had no idea what they were doing. They were lost the whole way. Or trying to configure with Cisco iOS, they just were completely lost. That's what's really going to be, hurt you in the long run if you don't have these skills to do anything like that. So I really suggest working at home and working on projects. One of my first projects was actually on one of these Raspberry Pis. So I had one of these, and I had the Pi Zero, and these were my first projects for making like a Kodi media server, and then making a VPN and doing Pi-hole, and that's where everything started. And I built everything out of Raspberry Pis. They were cheap and they're small. They don't use a lot of power, so it was really great to start my home lab up with. And in the long run, it was great because it got me comfortable with working with the CLI. It got me understanding how to flash OSs and all that stuff, how to troubleshoot network issues. It was very simple stuff for what I was doing, but it gave me the skills in the long run to really grow off of. If I didn't work with that in the beginning and get comfortable working with the CLI, it would have made things a lot harder when I started working with Cisco iOS or even anything else, like Microsoft Server when it's in the CLI. I had to do that as well, and everybody in class was shocked. They're like, how do we do this? There's no GUI. Use the command line. So by having those projects and hands-on skills is really going to help you. It's something that you can put on your resume, you can put it on your portfolio site, whatever you're going to do. And when it comes up, interviewers are going to be interested in it. Now, you don't want to just focus on all projects that are already made. You don't want to just keep pulling GitHub repos and be like, oh, yep, I built this out. Or, like I built a Plex media server, because yeah, it's cool you built a Plex media server, but they want to see stuff that you came up with on your own, or solutions to stuff you came up on your own. I know I've had that experience in the past. I interviewed and I kept, pushing. I did Pi-hole, I did Open Medieval, I did stuff like this. And the interviewer said, that's great, but we want to really see you did projects on your own that you came up with. So it's just something to keep in mind. I'm not saying that these projects aren't good, especially the ones we cover on the channel. There's a lot of stuff on here that will show you have a really good understanding of networking and Linux and all that stuff. So don't be afraid to show it off, but just keep in mind of what you're actually showing off on your resume before you put it on there. Alright, so I've been talking for a little bit, so we're going to try to wrap this up. The last part we're going to cover is looking for jobs. So I graduated in 2022, so I started looking at jobs in the fall of 2021. And it was probably the biggest struggle I've ever had. I started looking at jobs before Thanksgiving, and I didn't find my job until April. I, in all seriousness, applied to 500 jobs, all as entry-level or mid-range cybersecurity, system admin, system engineer, all those style of jobs. I applied for anything that I could find. I applied for big companies, I applied for little companies, I applied in different states, I did everything I could to try to find a job. This was probably the hardest part about getting into cybersecurity, was right here. Because you have to remember, in 2020 and 2021, we were just starting to start back up, and the market was absolutely flooded. Everybody was looking for work, and I was competing with everybody that I could. Things are getting a little bit better, but the cybersecurity market is still super flooded, so don't get discouraged if you start getting rejection notices from applications you put in. The best thing I could say about looking for jobs is don't give up. I used to do this system where I would apply for at least, I think it was like 5 to 8 jobs a day, because after a certain point, it's just not worth it. I saw this, somebody wrote about this on Reddit, that if you sit and you apply for 50 jobs a day, you're not really helping yourself anymore. If you keep it at a maximum of 10 jobs a day that you apply for, and you do that over the course of a week or however long you want to do it, you have a good chance of landing something eventually. But just don't get discouraged if you don't hear back or you get rejection notices, because it's going to happen. Unfortunately, it sucks, but it's what it is. I received so many rejection notices, or just straight up ignored from people, or you would interview with somebody and then you would just never hear back from them and they ghost you. It's really the worst feeling, but it is what it is about looking for a job, and that's what the whole thing is about, becoming an adult, getting out there and looking for a job. When it comes to setting up your resume, there are a couple pointers I will say. Make sure that if you are looking for a cybersecurity job, go on Google or something and look up cybersecurity keywords for resumes. And make sure that those keywords are in your resume. And you can do this with any job. I think there's sites out there too that do it, and there's like resume generators that you could use as well. But how this works now when you apply for jobs is everything's submitted online. So it goes through a software that scans your resume, and if you don't have those keywords on there, your resume doesn't even go to like the HR person. This was something that I didn't learn about until after I got my job, and I probably missed out on a lot of other jobs because of this. So look for those keywords and then make sure they're on your resume. I mean, don't just like throw them in blindly. Make sure you tuck them in where they make sense. So like if you're talking about your skills or interests or whatever it might be, make sure that those keywords are thrown in there somewhere that makes sense. So when the resume gets scanned, the interviewer sees it and you actually get maybe an interview. That's one thing I really wish I knew when I was looking for a job, because that probably would have helped me out so much more. But the biggest thing about looking for jobs is just don't get discouraged. You're going to have to apply for a lot of jobs. You're going to go on interviews and you're probably going to get told no, or you're going to get strung along, asked to come back for another interview, and then get told no, or you might just get ghosted. It's just how it is now, and unfortunately it's not fun, but it's about what it is. So just don't get discouraged and just keep getting back out there, applying for jobs, and eventually you're going to land one, so don't worry. So I hope you guys actually kind of like this video. I hope it helps somebody out, and if it does, comment below, because I would love to hear it. I love helping out and sharing information that I know about this field, because it's something that I really spent a lot of time learning about. I've been in college for 8 years. I did an associate's, a bachelor's. I'm getting a master's right now. I work full-time in cybersecurity. I work in an MSSP, and I just have a lot of knowledge, and I try to pass it on to everybody I can, whether it was my fellow classmates or family members that were interested in working in cybersecurity, or even friends. I just always want to help somebody out, and I have the knowledge, so I figured why not. So I hope you guys get knowledge off of this and it helps you out somewhere. I do have a Discord server, so if you want to join that, I'll have a link below. I throw some Amazon links in there from hardware I used and videos, so if you want to check out any of the hardware that I use, it'll be in there as well. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.